Season finale of 60 plus racing adventures brings us to Road Atlanta, and while we think about this amazing track and we think about the racing, we also remember earlier this year the competitors lost their friend, competitor and long-time member of 60 plus racing adventures, John Unsbee. He will be missed, and this is the week 12 John Unsbee Memorial Races for 60 plus racing adventures. He's remembered for his work, his friendship in 60 plus racing adventures, and also the family he left behind, and the work and competition he did in sports car racing and other real world racing in the US during his life as well. John Unsbee, you will be missed. This round is for you. And this is the schedule as we look at it. We started with coverage at Long Beach right at the end of last year, moved into through the year. We covered VIR for round 6. This is the championship decider. We do have points to look at as well. Donald Fitterer, it is his championship to lose at the moment. He's ahead of John Morgan and Stefan Rostchen. Paul Stump in 4th and Russ Addy in 5th. For each race, we will be having a minute's silence as the competitors will be sharing with us as well to remember John Unsbee. David Haynes, though, I've got Paul Smith with me right now. Paul, we for many seasons commentated on John Unsbee, and it is sad for us as well that it's not a name we're going to be saying and mentioning on track.
Yeah, he will be missed, will John, and yeah, he was one of those competitors who put everything out there and gave his all, so he will be missed from this community, that's for sure.
Our competitors on the grid observing a moment's silence for John Unsbee before they roll out into the formation lap for race 1 of 2 today. And this is how they are lining up for a rolling start in the Pro Mazda around Road Atlanta. Gary Bystrom has the pole. Donald Fitterer is looking great in 2nd. By the way, the points work in this. If he got even a top 5 in race 1, it'd probably be mathematically impossible to overhaul. So that is a great qualifying from Donald Fitterer, doing exactly what he needs to do. John Morgan is in 3rd, Bill Lawrence is in 4th, Mike McCormick in 5th, and Leroy Coppage on the outside of the 3rd row. Then we've got Paul Stump, Kenneth Baldwin, Randy Shoemake, Mark Robertson, Donald Poole, and Bob Cohen for our top 12.
Yeah, Stefan Rostchen then in 13th, ahead of Steve Greenwood, Richard McClure, Barry Hills, David Riley, Jack Turner, Louis Canal with Bruce Poole, Ernie Cancio, Jihadis Jurison, Greg Gilman and Joel Martin. We'll fire through the rest of this grid because they are heading down the back straight. Richard Varley and Wally Moresby with Kenneth Dummer, Dev Donnelly, Douglas Beasley and Steve O'Malley. Then Jared Florison, Michael Bailey, Bob Kern, Richard Coulomb, Gene Moore, JC Hay, and then the final 2 rows of the grid, Jerry Kerr, PJ Selly, Franz Brink, and Robert Earl.
40 drivers, 40 cars for this, the 12th and final round of this season of 60 plus racing adventures. You may notice many drivers running John Unsbee's livery in tribute as well. That is going to make our job difficult, but I'm happy to have it because it is for a very important reason. What isn't yellow is the green flag that's waving right now to usher us into 24 laps of racing action in race 1 of 2. Donald Fitterer has had a very good jump there, but Gary Bystrom holds on to the inside line through turn 1, and then passing is oh so difficult through the S's in open wheelers.
Certainly is, and got a bit of action further down. Stefan Rostron is trying to move his way forward. Batchelor's lost out positions at the start, but it's great to see all these cars flying through the shot there. In fact, Gary Bystrom in the wall.
Problem for your pole sitter. That car is crabbing very, very badly, and that looks like the top of turn 5. Dangerous place on cold tyres. Ask me how I know. And therefore, we are going to take a look. He's clear ahead, and he's maybe been too aggressive, too dear with some of the curbs here at the top of the S's. On the exit, potentially, it looks like on cold tyres, easier to bottom these cars out, and that's what Gary Bystrom has done, and damaged the suspension quite heavily.
He certainly has. As we go back, there he is at the front. So Donald Fitterer now at the head of your field at the end of lap 1. So he's going to be finding himself in that position. And then just everybody else. It is going to make our life extremely difficult with all those yellow cars. But I love it. It's fantastic. It's what we want to see. But yeah, these drivers putting on a display. Cold tyres, lap 1. Around turn number 5, it's a tricky corner at the best of times. Speaking of tricky corners, that's Cancio has been up into the wall, I believe.
Yeah, on the outside of turn 1, another difficult corner. I guess you approach with a lot of speed. Got to brake a little bit, maybe give it one downshift, but it's not a huge braking zone towards turn 1, and the corner just keeps going. If you push out wide, you can end up on the grass and then find yourself going towards that wall very, very quickly. A little wide, a little slide, and then in the grass. Trying to steer away from the wall. Still collected a little bit of it there for Cancio. I'm not sure how serious that damage actually was. But turn 1, another place where understeer builds on itself. And then you end up on the grass because there's not a lot of paved runoff here.
Yeah, that's it. It's a traditional motorsports venue. It's one where there is plenty of grass for you to even just dip a wheel onto it, and before you know it, you're around and down the order. So it's a track that will punish you out there today. Well, we're getting some tremendous action all the way through the field. Mike McCormick doing a superb job in 4th place, trying to hunt down Bill Lawrence.
Yeah, certainly is. All of these drivers promoted one position by the problems for Bystrom. So Fitterer up 1, Morgan up 1, Lawrence up 1, Mike McCormick, who we ride on board with in 4th, gaining 1 position. This is going to be an interesting place to be when they come to this long back straight as well, because you just want to absolutely perfect that run off of turn 7, I guess it is there.
Yeah.
And really just follow the wheel tracks of the car in front here. Whatever kind of car you bring here to Road Atlanta, you're looking for this run down the back straight. And Paul Stumper's got it because he moves himself ahead of Leroy Coppage.
Certainly does. Yeah, with them all running the fixed setup as well, I think that's going to make things a little bit... it's not like you can have like a super secret low downforce setup compared to everyone else. You're all running the same setup, so it's going to be more about how the drivers get themselves out of turn 7 and run down that back straight, get the slipstream and the draft effect, and that's what we saw there with Paul Stump able to work his way past Leroy Coppage, sliding the car through turn 3.
Yeah, that camera angle doesn't really do justice to that corner there. What a crest it is. You can't see the apex until you're already turning in for it. So that's one of those things you really get used to with time and with practice here at Road Atlanta, is where to brake and where to turn in across the crest, and also, depending on which car, how much of that curb you can take on the inside. Bit of a wiggle, bit of a snap putting the power down, and he's not alone, because in the background there, Mark Robertson did not put the power down very cleanly as well, and he spun around, and the spectators look very unfazed in the infield there, but they would have had a great view to it here. Mark Robertson right up behind some other cars, might have also given him a little bit of concern here. Then it's bouncing on the inside curb a bit as he picks up the throttle there as well.
Yeah, doing that, it unsettles the car, And before you know it, you're facing the wrong way and you're back in the pit lane, which is exactly where Mark finds himself. So not a good time out there for him. John Morgan and Bill Lawrence battling over second place at the moment. We have got battles all the way through the field. It's not just happening at the front here. So we are trying to keep a track on everybody's race out there. But this is an important one because this is for second place and they don't want to let Donald Fitzroy get away. Although I say that, he's 2.5 seconds ahead of those two.
Yeah, just shy of putting down the fastest last lap around. The long shots along here sometimes give you an idea of what the gaps are like, how many cars are in a battle, etc, etc. There's Fitterer just getting away at the lead before you see two cars battling for second. And then a battle still shaping up for fourth. But in this battle for second here, Bill Lawrence is looking pretty cozy, pretty comfortable. That wasn't any sort of an aggressive look. He might be happy to ride along in third for at least the early part of this race. But what a run up the hill. Take it all back.
Yeah, Lawrence giving it everything, isn't he? He's trying to get past. The fastest laps on the left-hand side of the screen. Morgan not quite matching the pace of Donald Fitter at the front. And I think John is just holding up Lawrence behind him. And that's going to allow, potentially, although McCormick isn't really gaining on them, it will give the chance for McCormick to try and gain and make this a forecast grab.
That exit curve at turn 5 is pretty brutal in these cars, and I saw Bill Lawrence pick up just a little bit of it then, have a little bit of a wiggle. Mike McCormick, I think he's with them now. There he is, with Paul Stump right with him. I think Stump is going to shape up for another attack here because he has the fastest lap of the race at the moment that he set on the previous lap. Now he's going to get another great slipstream, a great tow all the way in 6th gear, and then rolls out of it a little bit, do I see?
Yeah, there was a definite lift there. Oh, takes a lot of curb on the left there through 10A and 10B. Up underneath the Suzuki bridge and then plunge downhill. Bottom of the car bottoms out through the bottom of the dip there, and then back towards starting another lap here. So this is tremendous stuff. You can see how Stump is having a good time of it. So too, Bill Lawrence gets a good run through the final two turns, gets close at turn 1, but then just falls back into line again, it seems. He doesn't quite have the pace through the first half of the lap.
Different parts of the lap require a different confidence with the car, I suppose. There's braking hard in a straight line and sending it deep there, for example, or there's coming over the crest and managing the input and the throttle. That is a different thing that you might not be quite so comfortable with. Steve Greenwood here, a little wide of the apex in a couple places. That could be what Richard McClure needs. He's right there and closing. Fantastic shot of the threat that McClure poses to try to take 9th place away. There he is appearing on the right hand side, nose in front, and I think this could be his. No, that's a defense and a half.
But look at the run on the exit there. Oh, this is tremendous stuff between these two. Neck and neck as they come around to cross the line. This is brilliant stuff.
Yeah, indeed, very, very close. Great manoeuvre there to cross back over under. And in that way, get up into 9th place for McClure. Stealing some moves from one of my compatriots who's more often seen driving a Porsche. Battle there, 9th and 10th, has seen Shoemaker and Barry Hills stay in touch as well. Shoemaker in yellow, but in a slightly different shade of yellow, so he stands out in the little battle that has formed here.
Yeah, he's still supporting John, but he's helping us out, I think, there with that. Just to stand out a little bit there, as all behind him, Hills and Canal, Louis Canal, and also behind them, Bruce Poole. Or is that a bit lap traffic? It is a bit lap traffic for Poole behind, but yeah, Hills and Canal. Although although I say that is actual traffic, isn't it? It's in front, 63. So yeah, that's Stefan Rosgen working his way through. So lap down, he's had an incident out there, and he's working his way back through to try and unlap himself.
I can recognise that helmet, that's for sure. And to tell you, the other giveaway would be those wheel rims.
Yes, true.
For Stefan Rosgen as well. That's where you've got to keep your eyes, maybe. So Fitterer getting away in the lead. Morgan, Lawrence, McCormick still battling for second. It's looking very interesting around the 8th, 9th, 10th sort of area here as well. Looking forward from Baldwin in 8th. He's got Cohen and Coppage. And I think this is definitely a car where it really does sort of top out, run out of steam in 6th gear with the 200-ish horsepower that it has. So a double toe, I think, is definitely a thing for these cars to really briskly get you along and gain a bit of time right towards the end of the straights here as well.
Yeah, it's plus the fixed setup as well that everyone's running won't be helping these drivers out there today, will it? It'll get you so far, but then you'll almost stall out, as we've got battling further down as well. Michael Bailey and Jihadis Yorison battling out for 17th and 18th. So as we mentioned earlier, there is battles throughout the field here, so it's great to see that. And these two still pushing on in towards turn 1, and that's going to be Yorison maybe looking, no, deciding against it for the time being. Second place could be one to keep an eye on soon, because as we reach the halfway point of the race, they've fallen back. John Morgan's fallen back now to 4 seconds behind, but look at the queue of cars that have fallen behind him. And another thing that we always talk about, David, with these 60 plus racing adventures races in this car, is those tyres, those rear tyres. You've got to look after them. And with there being a few acceleration spots here where you're going from a relatively low speed, turn 7 being a prime example, you're really working those rear tyres hard.
Yeah, not just working them hard, but we've seen the drivers squirming there as well, and the weather plays a big part in it. 29 degrees Celsius on track, partly cloudy, so that is that's quite nice. That is not super hot, but this is pressure coming on to John Morgan. Bill Lawrence having a look down the inside and washes out a little bit in the middle of the corner there as well. Oh, could have ended poorly, but Morgan is going to hold on to second place. But it shows that Lawrence is back on the attack. McCormick right in the picture as well. And Paul Stump has the second fastest lap of the race and only just missing out on having the fastest lap of the race as well. So while he's been, I think, ebbing and flowing a little bit, his fast laps are very fast laps as well from 5th place.
Yeah, he's been doing some good. We're on board with Mike McCormick once again, and just a little bit of a loose rear end there for Bill in front. So Bill Lawrence now having to think defensively, having to try and stay in the slipstream of John Morgan as long as possible, but also thinking, I might have to go defensive here, but no, McCormick just backing out of it as they're coming up to some traffic as well, one of which helps them by getting out of the way there. That was Gene Moore.
Not great for Gene, great for these guys as they practice their sort of Moses impression on that one, and they're all going to get cleanly through as well. That onboard was very instructive though, because it showed us that even with a little bit of a slipstream, they weren't that close to stalling out at the end of 6th gear. They've got quite a bit of rev still left in 6th gear there, so not really at risk of hitting the rev limiter, even with a good run and a good slipstream. And that should help the passing and the overtaking.
It should do, yes. It'll be really interesting to see how it goes towards the end, because obviously both Lawrence and McCormick, and even Stump as well, have all lifted out going down that back straight as we're coming towards the end of the halfway point of the race. But yeah, they've all lifted out of the throttle. They've all wanted to just get out of that one. Oh, as we've got issues with Richard McClure further down.
there we go. He's lost a big old handful of positions as he gone for a spin, putting the power down onto the back straight. Was it something else? This replay is going to tell us as we look at McClure through the slightly banked and faster right-hander into the slower right-hander. A little wide, bit of slip angle, trying to use the right pedal and too aggressively when the car was in a little bit of a slide there. It has not worked out for McClure.
We're going to stay on replay because John Morgan has just lost second place to Bill Lawrence. So we'll get to see it happen here. And this is the part where Bill Lawrence has been strongest through that final section of the lap. And he's got, I don't say he's going to make this move into turn one. He is, you know. Oh, just a little bit of a wheel rub there between the two of them. Hopefully Morgan's not got any damage. I think he has, you know. Oh my goodness!
Looks like John Morgan and Leroy Coppage tangling there on the back straight, unfortunately, as there might have already been some pre-existing damage for John Morgan. What a...
Yeah, I think Morgan had damage.
Time to pick that one up.
Yeah, that was a heck of a time to pick that up, that's for sure. So there was contact in front, with Lawrence trying to get out the way. And then, oh, he's getting squeezed. To be fair, Morgan was getting squeezed there. We'll take another look from on board, but he's definitely getting squeezed off track there.
I think it was a case of a bit of three wide there, and some people lost their bearings on who was where and going what.
So that was Bill Lawrence getting into a bit of lap traffic. And then, where do you want them to go? And yeah, well, the wall apparently is where he wanted to go. That was Paul Stump who squeezed across there. So yeah, he will probably apologise about that. There's no doubt about that. He wouldn't intend for that to happen. But yeah, as you mentioned there, David, I think maybe just getting a little bit. Quite a lot of cars around him and wanting to give room to one, not realising there was the other one there.
Live pictures. This is Stump maybe losing second place back again to McCormick. Stump didn't really want to give up on that one too early, but eventually he has to. And McCormick now runs in second, Stump runs in third, and Bob Cohen is up into fourth. And having a look at Stump here as well, we've seen drivers go side by side through the last sweeping corner here. They can almost keep it flat out, but Cohen's still going to hold the inside, and he is up into fourth.
Is it up into third?
Up into third, yeah, sorry, putting Paul Stump into fourth.
Yeah, so I think, as we just saw John Morgan come back out of the pit road after getting his fast repair there. That's another good thing about this series, the fact that you do get a fast repair so that you can carry on in these races. Try and get yourself a bit of a result from this first race, and of course, as you alluded to in the start, David, the series is a little bit different to other leagues. You've got two races, and your best result from the two races is what you take into the championship standings.
Yeah, a lot of championships might have drop rounds.
Well, this does have a drop round as well, so... Yeah,
some might have several. Formula One, I think, famously did for a couple of years there. That didn't maybe massively benefit Alain Prost for a year or so. Kenneth Dummer always looked like he pulled that thing out of the back of an RV in the camping area and pulled it onto track without security noticing, but I think he would have had a spin and was just recovering.
I like his
access road.
I like his helmet, by the way, the replica of Graham and Damon Hill's helmet. And yep, there he goes. Round he goes, decides, well, let's just say hello to the marshals, then get back going again.
They got nice little folding chairs there. Yeah, that was a case of the narrow entry. He wanted to give room to the competitor and therefore got the car a little up on the curb, more than they seem like they are comfortable with. There are things that this car is comfortable with, and it seems like riding too much of any of the curbs around Road Atlanta is not one of them. We've seen that through the S's, we've seen that many times at that apex curb. Not a strong point of this particular single-seater.
Yeah, it's quite a stiffly sprung car, is this, and it's quite unforgiving if you get a bumpy curb. So that's why you're generally seeing people avoiding the curb on the exit of turn 5. I mean, turn 5 is bad enough anyway, but if you get up on that curb, there is a nasty bump out there, and it can just send you to the inside, like we saw our pole sitter do at the start of the race, Gary Bystrom, and it sends you off into the wall and you're having to get a fast repair. But Bob Cohen is on a charge here.
Yeah, he's the man we're looking at in the 32. He tries to hunt McCormick in the 99 for second. They're now 9 seconds adrift of Donald Fitter, and as the green and regrettably sometimes orange arrows show on the timing tower, Cohen up 9, Lawrence down 2 there, so Beasley up 13 and Bailey up 18. Good numbers. When you look at the big picture, it's been actually a little wobbly for Cohen through the exit of the S's there. McCormick gets away and Paul Stump all over him for a couple corners there.
I think crucially Bob Cohen's lost the slipstream of Mike McCormick, and that's going to put him under serious pressure from Stump. Here comes Stump to the inside of 10A, but not. He's pulling out of that one. He's deciding that it's a little bit too risky. Live to find another day and try again for a podium. They plunge downhill again. I mean, we're already on lap 18 of this race. This race has flown by so far.
Yeah, no doubt it has. We're past the 2/3 way already. Laps just kept ticking by. They did. The races all end up around about the same time, but some do seem to go faster than others. If you're Donald Fitter in the lead, you want it to go even faster. There's some who don't quite want it to end yet.
Oh, Bill Lawrence, he's had to retire. Oh my goodness, he's got a lot missing from his car. Let's see if we can find out what's happened to Bill here.
Someone's got a souvenir left rear tyre as well, so it's going to be a big impact whatever it is. As a check-up on the far side of the crest, he carries the speed. He's looking for a way through here.
That's a little bit ambitious there. Oh, Bill. It's not been his
pushed
day.
A little bit, turning into that right-hander there as well, more
Yeah.
than he expected, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not been his day, has it really, for Bill? He was up there challenging for a podium, and he's back in the pits, dropping down the order. Battling further down, Louis Canal, Barry Hills, Bruce Poole and Jack Turner are all together out there on track, battling it out for 9th place.
Yeah, this was a couple 2-car battles, and now all of a sudden, whoop, it's one big old battle from 9th down to 12th. Canal and Hills were fighting separately, Poole and Jack Turner were fighting separately. It's almost looking like it's going that way again, with just a little bit more of an air gap between sort of 11th and 12th or something. Bruce Poole shows us what kind of line he wants to take through turn 5, which is stay away from that big bad curb on the exit.
Yeah, it really
Correct
does.
line through the banked bit as well.
Yeah, Kenneth Dummer is dropping down the order, so something's happened to Kenneth out there, and it's turn 5. So we mentioned about how Bruce was staying away from turn 5's curb. Well, let's see what's happened to Kenneth. I'm guessing the exit curb of turn 5.
I'm guessing the apex curb. I don't know. That's just a
Barely
kiss.
touch it, yeah.
This replay brought to you by Chevy, apparently. And I don't see why not.
Able to keep it going though, that's the main thing, and kept it out the wall, which quite a few others haven't been able to do.
No, as evidenced by the good dozen or so drivers who've had to go into pit lane to take their repairs. does mean that there is 25 or more cars running that haven't had to do that. So maybe with 40 cars, we're kind of focusing on the bad news stories a little too often on that one. I guess it's a matter of perspective and percentages and averages, etc. It's looking good for Fitterer up front. It's looking good in this little battle here. Bruce Poole is piggy in the middle between Hills and Turner. I think second place has just changed hands as well. Cohen is moving on up into second place.
And immediately going defensive, yeah.
Why not with 4 laps to go? McCormick and Stump are right with him. Hello, Blimp up there. And yeah, that's an aggressive line. Bit of a wiggle from Cohen, but he's using the grip he's got, and he is getting away with that one.
Certainly is. Say hello to the Blimp, and the Blimp says hello back as we look from up on high.
Using all of that curb there as well, and somehow holding on to it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
So does that say that he's pushing really, really hard for this second? If he's not up on that curb and no one is, and suddenly with a couple of laps to go, he goes, you know what, I can carry a bit more speed out the S's.
Yeah, I think he was feeling that he needed to utilise all of the track and then some. So, yeah, he's definitely pushing hard. But Cohen has just had a turn of pace, hasn't he, in this race, and he's really pushing forward. Barry Hills has had an instant further down, just falling out of your top 10, unfortunately. So, but we'll focus on this to the end now, because this battle for second place is going to start heating up now.
I think so. Cohen looked like he's come really, really good at the later portions of the race here. But Stump still has the second fastest lap we've seen in the race. McCormick qualified very well up here as well. And we've seen that anyone can become a victim to turn 5 or turn 7 at a minute's notice. And McCormick just riding the toboggan ride once again.
Now, if you're Bob Cohen, you're feeling intense pressure right now because you've got about 2.5 laps to try and hang on to this. Oh, McCormick getting the back end loose on the exit of 7.
Doesn't help him where he really, really needs it, but you can see just how strong the slipstream is. By the end of the straight, it doesn't even matter. He's closing again, and Cohen comes across to defend it, breaks down the middle, and we've seen that this is where someone like Paul Stump can get a great exit, cross back underneath the both of them. Cohen and McCormick are really holding each other up a little bit the way that they're battling now, but why not? 2 to go for these guys now. Your leader, Donald Fitterer, has already crossed the line, obviously, as McCormick gets for a look down the inside of turn 1. This is dangerous. This is very dangerous, but it looks like it's working. For McCormick, it's not. Cohen somehow swoops back around the outside. Yeah,
he backed out of it. I think he took a sensible pill there and decided, you know what, we've got one more lap after this. Let's. I'm on a podium at the moment. Let's just try and make it to the end here, but still have a go for second place.
Maybe it puts him right where he wants to be, down the back straight again. We're going to have a great view from Paul Stump, where he uses second gear to get going, and you can just tell they are all following in the snake, just all going where Bob Cohen goes.
Bruce Poole has had an instant out there. He's just dropping down. He's down in 12th now, possibly going to fall to 13th. So, instant for him. But we are starting the final lap here.
Absolutely we are. Donald Fitterer has started the final lap. This battle pack take the white flag as well. Lap down car right on the back of the train. The real battle is between Cohen, McCormick and Stump, 2nd, 3rd and 4th.
Stay out of the way, stay out of the way, yep.
Traffic is no problem for Cohen or McCormick. Now, McCormick needs to be in that perfect place, coming off onto the back straight, really. That's what's got to be key in his mind at the moment. He's close. Is he setting up a run? That is the question. He's also got to think in the back of his mind, what is Paul Stump doing behind me? And what is Paul Stump going to do? A little bit of a weave, a bit of a wiggle from Cohen. Says, I'm not going to give this one up easily, but there's a certain inevitability to how much speed McCormick is going to be able to carry down into the S's to close out the lap. He's got his nose in front, he's around the outside, and you can hold that here in that chicane, but Donald Fitterer is your winner. Perfect race. Took it lap 1, held onto it, and here I think McCormick has outfoxed Bob Cohen, who's lost out 2 positions from what I can tell. McCormick for 2nd, Stump for 3rd, Bob Cohen for 4th. Take a look again, because between the 3 of them could have been anyone's, and this might be a problem for Cohen in the 32 that he just got off the line he wanted. McCormick gave him nothing, and there, yeah, no traction on the grass, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's never going to work. He just ended up wrong place, wrong time, and that's cost him as he's come across the line there. So yeah, it's unfortunate for him, as the rest of your field is working their way through towards the end of the race for them. Franz Brink, the last of your drivers on the lead lap. He's heading down to 10A and 10B right now to be in the top 20 for Franz.
A bit of persistence and running clean paying off, of course. And when the last driver reaches the checkered flag, it ticks across the timing. And when it finalises the results, somehow McClure ends up behind Louis Cannell. Don't know about that one, but Donald Fitterer definitely your winner, 9.5 seconds clear. He ran a race all his own for 23 laps after the first lap. McCormick, great job on the final lap for 2nd place ahead of Stump in 3rd and Bob Cohen in 4th and Kenneth Bolden 5th, Steve Greenwood 6th, Louis Cannell, big mover, up 12 into 7th. McClure 8th, Turner 9th, and Bruce Poole in 10th, and Barry Hills in 11th. Michael Bailey up 20 positions into 12th, Dev Donnelly 13th, Douglas Beasley 14th, Kahardis Jorison 15th, then Steve O'Malley, Kenneth Dummer, Randy Shoemake, David Riley, and Franz Brink is the last car on the lead lap.
Yeah, so everyone else then lap down there. Joel Martin, who we saw battling, he was involved in a couple of things earlier on. Jared Flores and John Morgan, of course, who was up there at the front of your field, dropping down to 23rd in the end. Stefan Roschen, who we saw trying to lap himself, finishes 24th ahead of Matt Robertson. Leroy Coppage, the innocent party really in that instant with John Morgan. And Gary Bystrom, the pole sitter, finishes in 27th place. Wally Moresby, Ernie Cancio, and PJ Sally round out the top 30. And rest of your field on screen there. Robert Earl then 1 lap down ahead of Bob Kern, 1 lap down. Jerry Kerr 2 laps down. The rest of the drivers did not finish. Jim Moore, Bill Lawrence, Richard Varley, JC Hay, Richard Coulomb, Greg Gilman, and Donald Poole did not take the start there.
And we say it every time, but the great news for those guys is that was just race 1 of 2. They can take what they learned and roll it into race 2, and if they get a good result in race 2, then hey, that's the points that counts anyway. In this, the final week of the season in 60 Plus Racing Adventures, the John Unsbee Memorial Races, do you have the opportunity to see if we can get in touch with a couple of the drivers? And first of all, we're going to see Donald Fitterer. Do you have a copy?
Yes, I'm here.
Certainly you are. You're at the top step of the podium with a great win in this round. And I think first things first, championship-wise, that makes you this season's champion. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I was hoping just to get above. If I had 10th or better, then I knew I would have the championship.
Tell us about what you saw on that first lap, because obviously it was a great qualifying from Gary Bystrom, but we noticed sometimes these cars are a bit difficult, a bit of a handful on cold tyres. They also ride lower, and it seems like the curbs are also dangerous around here. Is that something you were looking out for that maybe caught out the man you shared the front row of the grid with?
Oh, absolutely. And the thing, I have a temperature readout on my screen that could tell me what the track temperature was, and I noticed it was hotter. And you might have noticed that on that turn one, I got Gary back into the first, simply because I didn't want to be pushed going faster than I wanted to go, and he caught that turn 5 curb, and that was it.
Looked like a very dangerous part of the track. I guess two key parts for the circuit here. The S's very challenging, and then the slipstream down the back straight. But once you got ahead and clear, that wasn't something you really had to worry about in this race.
No, not really. My biggest problem was just watching for the back markers and getting by everybody safely.
Well, I think a win is a very deserving way to put your stamp on that championship run. You had a good little lead coming in, and that does it for your championship, I guess. Back to back, I believe.
Yes, it is 2 in a row, and I'm going to take a break for next season, and I will do some races, but I'm not going to train and do as much work as I did this season to be on top.
It's lonely at the top of the mountain, potentially. One thing, of course, we've got to talk about this round, the paint scheme you're running, the paint scheme a lot of people are running. Obviously, people are very sad to learn the loss of John Unsbee. What are maybe some of your memories of him, knowing that you raced against him for quite a couple seasons?
Yeah, I've raced with John for many years. He was also an SRF driver, as was I. And I don't know if you recall, in the Watkins Glen last season for the final race, I was in the lead, and John spun. And my 4-second lead went down to less than a second with Russ right behind me, and I was able to hold on. And I just found John a tough competitor. He really showed somebody that actually had race experience, what it was like to race.
And I guess for that and other things, we're going to miss him. Congratulations, though, again, on your championship, Donald. What does that mean for how you're going to approach race 2?
I'm going to do it just for fun.
If you're going to do it. Oh, good.
Yeah, I plan to do it just to be with my friends and, just be safe. I don't want to ruin anybody's race. And, let's see who comes in first in the next one.
Well, with a bit of luck, we'll see you after the next race. And if we don't, with a bit of luck, we'll see you next season.
Yes, sir. Take care.
You too. There we go. Donald Fitterer, race winner, champion, decent bloke, I think, as well.
It'd be good if I switched my microphone on. Yes, worthy champion. He's been up there last season and now this season as well. I think he pointed out right there, it does take a bit out of you if you're focusing on a championship, both physically and mentally as well. Putting the time into practice and to make sure that you're competing at that level, it is not easy, especially with these guys, because they're all competitors at the end of the day, and they're all fighting it out there to one, to have fun, but two, to win a championship.
Yeah, no doubt. It sounds like next season for him will be a lot less sweaty than the last two have been.
Bob and I had a great race.
And joining us now is Mike McCormick from second place. Mike, what a great battle. We were watching you guys, I think, almost half of the race, particularly the last couple of laps there. It seems like the last section of corners after the big long back straight sets up some great passes to the checkered flag, and you are a lucky recipient of a couple of those positions.
Yes, it was. The car got a little bit loose there at the end, last few laps. I started over driving and lost my lead on Bob. Bob caught me, and I was lucky to get second. He put on a great race.
Could have been any of the three of you, it seemed. How powerful did that slipstream feel? Because it seemed like whatever run you got onto the back straight, you'd always be catching the guy in front anyway.
It wasn't. It's bad. To me, the Skippy. I used to race a Skippy, and the Skippy had more of a stream on it than that car. I really didn't want to push it too much. I wasn't going to take any unnecessary chances.
Speaking of, what about at the end of the S's? There's that big curb through the left-hander. We saw almost everyone else avoiding it. We saw it cause a bit of grief for some other competitors. We're just watching a great replay of you riding all the way up over that curb. That seems like one of the places you had a lot of confidence with the car that other people didn't.
Well, I race a Skippy, and I used to go up there on that, and I've done it so many times. I just made sure I was straight before I nailed the throttle on it. If you don't, you hook, hit the wall, which I've done many times.
You wouldn't be the first, and you wouldn't be the last. That's some great advice for everyone. Everyone watching who wants to master that one. You going to be able to back this one up in race 2, move up one spot higher, or was race 1 a lucky result?
Donald's pretty quick. He's my teammate, and I'm not as quick as him on this track. It hasn't really been a good season for me, so hopefully next season will be better. And John's fast too. There's several of them that can beat me.
It seemed like there's
and
probably
Bob.
a good half dozen or so drivers that could go and take a win. Like many others, we're seeing you racing in the sort of yellow, orange, and black livery for these John Unsbee Memorial races. Do you have any memories of him that come to mind, or that sort of lead you to put the paint on?
Well, unfortunately not. I didn't really know him that well. I raced against him in this, the 60 plus some, but I mean, he was always a hard competitor, and what I heard, he had great stories and everything, but I don't know him as well as some of the other people, unfortunately.
Yeah, fair enough. Great to see you joining with everyone else and remembering some of the great competitors we have in this championship. Well, Mike, we'll see you again in race 2. Good luck, and if you turn on the same level of action, it'll make it worth broadcasting.
We'll try. Enjoyed talking with y'all. Appreciate what you do. Bye-bye.
Go well, Mike. Great podium for him, and maybe didn't always look like in the last couple of laps he was going to stand on the podium, but then great moves on the final lap to grab second. Paul, you've got another driver to grab and pick their mind, Paul.
Hopefully I'll qualify better in race 2.
We seem to pick these drivers out right when they're in the middle of chatting with their fellow competitors. Bob Cohen joins us in the commentary booth here, and Bob, I mean, what a drive from you! You maybe not the best qualifying performance in 12th, but to be able to push through the field like that, it must have been a fun race for you.
It was a fantastic race. I loved it. I had been pacing well in practice all week, and I had confidence. Got some good advice from my fellow drivers, and the race went well for me.
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, we saw you. Unfortunately, that last chicane. I mean, Mike McCormick had got the line on you, and he just ran a little bit wide. Just a little bit unfortunate to finish in 4th place in the end there.
Paul was right there in a good position, and I had to block in the inside, and I knew I was going to give up my speed exiting that corner, especially side by side. In retrospect, maybe I should have let Mike pass on the inside, but most likely, there would have been another buddy right there pushing me out. So it was a tough call, but I finished fourth, and I'm so glad that's my best position, and I'm so glad to be racing in front.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. I mean, we've got another race coming up very shortly indeed, so we won't keep you. But how do you think that second race will go tonight?
Well, hopefully I'll qualify better, and hopefully I'll try to stick with Donnell a little bit, but that's asking a lot.
Well, Bob, pleasure to speak to you, and hopefully we'll get to speak to you again after the next race.
Thanks for speaking to me this time.
Take care. So that's Bob Cohen then from 4th place, and then what we'll do is we have got one more interview here, David. So we'll bring in Joel Martin. Joins us now in the commentary booth, and I mean let's talk about the race. You ended up finishing in 21st. How was that out there for you?
I'm sorry, but I got to go race here just real quick.
Well, I was just going to say really quick then, how was it out there today?
It was pretty good. I felt good just because I didn't run into anybody. I did get hit late in the race and lost some positions, but other than that, I thought it was great.
Well, Joel, we'll let you go. We'll to do some racing, and we'll probably speak to you afterwards. But all the best, Joel, for the next race.
Thank you, sir.
There you go, David.
Yeah, no doubt. Race 1 put on some excitement, showed us what these Pro Mazdas can do at Road Atlanta in race 1 of 2 of the Week 12 John Unsbee Memorial Races. We are going to have a bit of a break here, and we're going to come back with coverage of race 2. You don't need to go anywhere, don't need to click anything, because coming up soon, race 2 in 60 Plus Racing Adventures from Road Atlanta. Well, 60 Plus Racing Adventures continues as our drivers gear up for race 2. Qualifying is about to tick over about now, and our drivers will be qualifying to set their grid for the final race of this season in 60 Plus Racing Adventures. We had 40 cars for race 1. We're looking at a bit closer to 34 for this second race, but that is still no mean feat and quite a grid that we're going to have. As you can see when you look down the long shot of pit lane and you see everyone's pit stall all in a line. Can newly crowned champion Donald Fitterer go 2 from 2? Will someone else find a way to win in race 2? I'm David Haynes, Paul Smith with me. Paul, what are we thinking drivers are going to do in this qualifying session?
Well, suppose, I mean, the obvious thing to say would be go as fast as they can, but we kind of guessed that. But basically, try and get themselves a better starting position than race 1 to give themselves the best opportunity of improving their results from race 1. Unless your name is Donald Fitterer, of course, in which case you can't improve your result from race 1, and you've wrapped up a championship. So, as he said to us, have a bit of fun out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can kind of tick him off the list of people who need to perform or would, like a good result in this second race. I think the names that come to mind as people who really would like a good result in race 2: Gary Bystrom, Stefan Rostjan, and others who didn't have the result that their pace deserved in race 1. This is their second opportunity. The question is, do we have them? Actually, we do have Stefan Rostjan. He looks like he's on a flying lap at the moment. Donald Fitterer, obviously, we ride on board with on his flying lap, as he obviously been taking that advice from Mike McCormick, I think it was, on how to grab that curb.
Yeah, I don't see Gary Bystrom at all out there.
I was looking for him as well. Do not spot him.
This looks a really good, solid first lap though from Fitterer here. He's been hitting all his marks, not really had the back end go out in him or anything like that, so it's looking good for him so far.
Smooth is clean and clean is fast. So yeah, we haven't seen any unpredictable or rapid movements from those hands. The first of the times are going to come in, and it puts Donald Fitterer to the top for the moment. Lots more qualifying times still happening, but it's looking good on the first lap for Fitterer. Here's Rostjan.
So I think he actually didn't set a time. Oh no, he did set a time of 12th, did Rostjan. So he'll be looking to try and improve here at the moment.
Absolutely he will be, but I don't think that the first lap is the most critical one of the 2 qualifying laps that the drivers get. Knowing how the tyres come in, warm up and get up to pressure, sure, it might help your confidence a bit if you can push moderately hard on the first lap and then push harder on the second lap, but realistically, so long as your second flying lap is clean, it'll probably be quicker. We're about to find out for a couple drivers if that is the case, because they're pretty zippy around here at just a minute 15.
Yeah, the laps come thick and fast around here, don't they? So it's a case of just, you don't need to rush out there and set your lap time immediately.
Sure don't. Fitterer improves at the top. Rostjan improves to 8th, and I'm not sure that's going to stand forever because more and more times still come in as well. Donald Poole to hold on a second. John Morgan holding on to 3rd, but there's a bit of a gap there.
Yeah, the most drivers have actually set their 2 lap times, haven't they, at the moment? So There's a few who've yet to set a lap time. Jim Moore, Michael Bailey, Richard Varley, Ollie Malmesbury, David Riley as well. Although Richard Varley just sets a lap time. So that's one ticked off the list. Yeah, there's a few drivers who have yet to get lap times in.
Yeah, I think we haven't seen Bob Cohen or Robert Isle out on track at all. Seen Wally Malmesbury on track with no time yet. And we're going to see...
Well, this is John Morgan. It's not an improvement. That was just him getting a lap in there. So that's not going to work. Here's Wally Malmesbury. We haven't really seen much of him, have we? This season, so it's good to give him a bit of airtime.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to see. I think this is his first of his 2 flying laps. I think he was a little later out of the gate. He's running the number 98. I think best used by Josh Wise in 2014 with the Dogecoin car in the NASCAR Cup Series.
I'm trying to think of who else in Mudspot has had 98 as their number.
Probably quite a few people. You know, once 99 is taken.
John Cleland in the British Touring Car Championship had 98 in 1998. That's about the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
Well, Van Gisbergen uses 97 as Wally Malmesbury gets a lap time. So that looked like his first flying lap, and he's going to have one more go at it. We'll watch that one, I guess, maybe.
Bob Cohen was coming out of the pits, but he's gone back to the pits. So obviously he's not happy about something, so he's decided to go back to the pits there. So hopefully
I think those people in the background of the shot there in the paddock area were British, because they were just standing right out in the sun for no good reason at all.
Listen, okay, the sun doesn't come out that much over here, okay, so we'll get it while we can. Although it'll be rather humid in Georgia. Brazelton, Georgia, we're in. So, yeah, it'll be quite humid here.
It snowed here a couple of weeks ago when Champ Car Endurance Series visited, which made it the second year in a row Champ Car had come in February and been snowed on in Georgia.
Well, there you go. That's the way things are going. Wally Malmesbury across the line does not improve his time. Bob Cohen is out there on track. He's running out of time though, so I think he'll only get one lap in here.
Yeah, if this is just the start, then I think that's the case.
I think
Obviously,
this is his out lap, so yeah.
Yeah, obviously we've seen competitive time is a minute 15. Leave yourself a minute 20 window or something to get a lap in then for sure. And there's time aplenty for this lap. The question is, when Barney waves that checkered flag, is that a hard cut to the end of qualifying?
Yes,
it
is.
Force him into pit lane.
So this is his one chance, his one opportunity to try and get his lap time in. So here we go.
Sees everything ever wanted in one moment. Will he capture it or just let it slip? We're going to find out with Bob Cohen. We mentioned in the racing.
He's backing out.
Okay. Well, we mentioned in the racing that as long as you're close off that corner onto the back straight here, you'll pick up a good slipstream. But in the qualifying, all by yourself, all on your lonesome, your run there is very, very important. Does not appear like this is going to be an earth-shaking lap for Bob Cohen.
Yeah, he was quite slow. It was almost as if he was in the wrong gear coming out of turn 7. So that's really going to affect his lap time. He's still pushing on, and he's still putting a lap time of 17.6.
Which is 28th. Half a minute left in the session. do not believe he's going to get another one. There are those S's. Pretty easily flat out through the middle of them in these cars, but not the case on the entry or on the exit. As qualifying comes to an end and then the drivers form up on the grid and go for the pace lap, they will be observing a minute's silence for 60 Plus Racing Adventure member John Unsbee, who is no longer with us, and we will join them in that with a moment's silence now for John Unsbee. And there we are. I love that picture of John Unsbee and one of the minis that he raced in North America. One of the several things people remember him for. My dad also raced some minis in the 70s, but I think a little later into the 70s and some slightly different looking minis, and probably not as well as John Unsbee. But this is the grid for our second race. Donald Fitterer on the front row once again, but this time he's got pole position ahead of Donald Poole, and the next row is John Morgan and Mike McCormick, Louis Cannell and Richard McClure for row 3. Then Bill Lawrence, Leroy Coppage, Steve Greenwood, Dev Donnelly, Stefan Rostian in 11th, alongside Mark Robertson. Barry Hills, Jack Turner, Paul Stump, Randy Shoemake, Benny Cancio and Kenneth Dumar is about the first half of the grid.
Yeah, Richard Varley then in 19th, header Gerardus Florison in 20th, Greg Gilman and David Riley, 21st, 22nd, header Joel Martin and Wally Moresby, 23rd, 24th. Douglas Beasley and Bruce Poole share that row of the grid along with Bob Kern and Bob Cohen, who didn't have the best of qualifying out there in this second race. Then Richard Coulomb and Jerry Kerr round out your top 30. The final two rows of the grid, JC Hay and G Moore, with Michael Bailey and Richard Robert Richard Roberts in 34th place.
34 cars, and you can see them all coming over that crest in the back straight that the Porsche 911 GT1 made famous. These cars, no such problems following each other over a crest. Aerodynamics and our understanding of it have come a beautiful, beautiful way. It's your champion-elect on pole position. He's leaving just a sensible little gap to the pace car, which is about to aggressively go for that pit entry. And now, roaring us into life for race 2. A great start, a great jump from Donald Fitterer. Really caught Donald Poole napping. John Morgan is going to get down the inside of him as well, put him back in a 3rd place, and a great getaway from the number 8 car, championship leader Donald Fitterer.
Yeah, but Morgan in 2nd place, so we'll be delighted to get up there towards the front. I think we've got an instant further back, so a number of drivers dropping back. Randy Shoemaker's one of those drivers dropping back. Dev Donnelly is in the wall as well, but he's going to get going again, so they'll stay going for the time being. Shoemaker's off again, so instant for him. Donald Poole in 3rd place at the moment, heading up the chase on the 2 leaders at the front there, and Fitterer already pulling away quite the lead.
Well, he's going to try. It's 8/10, but I can see that it's coming down as John Morgan follows in the slipstream, but maybe not enough to prevent Fitterer from trying to get away. Here is a little bit of that side-by-side lap 1 jostling in action you'd expect to see with Louis Cannell. I think Steve Greenwood in front of him doing a good job. In fact, now Cannell looks like he's under pressure from Coppage, if I'm reading my timing screen correctly, because I've got to be reading my timing screen correctly. But who you can spot there very easily is Stefan Rosten with the blue and pink livery around the outside. That's too much speed on cold tyres, and he's not the only victim of that.
Yeah, Richard McClure, isn't there?
Track off the road in front, yeah.
So McClure has had an issue. Oh my goodness, Coppage, he's going to take a big slowdown penalty there by cutting through, but it's the safest way through, is that?
Sure, less of a time penalty than needing to take a pit stop for some repairs if you pop on track in front of someone who wasn't expecting it. Here is Donald Poole as he lines up behind John Morgan, who's still just within touching distance of Donald Fitterer. It's 9/10. You really want to keep that underneath a second to stop them getting away, to make sure each and every lap you come around, you pick up a little bit of tenths of a second to keep you in contact.
Yeah, it's so tricky because we've seen it time and again, not just in this series, but in other open wheel series here on iRacing. As soon as that leader breaks that slipstream, breaks that draft, it's almost impossible for you to try and draw them back into that battle. But look at that, the front 5 have got an enormous gap between them and 6th place Steve Greenwood.
I think a lot of that might have come from where the battling was, where some of these drivers went off track on lap 1 and lap 2. Does mean 5 cars bolting away at the lead. Rosten's just gone and picked up a spot off Louis Cannell potentially.
Yep.
So Rosten moving up, +4 in the race. Good to see from a man who is many time champion in this series.
Of course, back when we used to use the old Star Mazda, isn't it, that he really excelled in that car, didn't he? This car, he's not really, doesn't appear to be suiting his style of driving, this car, I don't feel.
Yeah, I was looking at the Hall of Fame for this championship. Every championship he won was in that Pro Mazda. Since we switched to the, I guess, the newer version, the car that replaced it in North American open wheel competition. He's not quite been so dominant. Good little switch back there from McClure, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it has left Louis Cannell in an embarrassing spot as he slides back. Mark Robertson, I think, takes a spot away from him there as well.
Yeah, and coming under attack from Paul
It's hard
Stump.
to tell.
Yes, it's an amazing touch that these drivers have put in, but it doesn't make our lives easy, that's for sure. But yeah, Cannell just not having the best of starts, not best opening of a race, but as his tyres come in and as they heat up and get to pressure, that might be when he starts to thrive a little out there.
Yeah, you see that. Some of the drivers be confident on lap 1. Some of them take a little bit longer and then really hit their stride later in the race. We shall see. Like Donald Poole, he's gone and set the fastest lap of the race last time around. Good for him up in third, trying to just keep everyone else honest. You know what? So you'd see what I see on my timing screen. You'd see red boxes around every driver who's within a second of another driver, and you'd be seeing a lot of red boxes. Everyone is battling someone at this early point in the race. Donald Fitter has actually gone and yoinked away that fastest lap of the race.
Stumped past Canal now. So
Is
Louis,
there damage for Canal? Because he is down
potentially
6 spots. He would have been roundabout where we saw those other two drivers like McClure come off the road in turn 1, and I wonder if there's something we can't see.
Possible
that has him
floor
on the back
damage.
foot.
That has a huge effect on this car, does any floor damage, so it can drop you a good half dozen, 3/4 of a dozen kilometres an hour on the straight, and it'd be interesting to see how he compares to the others top speed. Unfortunately, I don't have a graphic any longer on our new graphics package to say what his top speed is.
Well, I'm looking at it. He's definitely not as fast as Barry Hill's behind, but it looked like he reached about the speed we would have expected, as Donald Poole is making good on qualifying in second. He's moving himself back into second place ahead of John Morgan. You're not going to outfox John Morgan that easily as he crosses right back underneath, gets to the inside at a one-line corner and makes a tiny bit of contact there with Donald Poole, who takes to the motorcycle escape road.
Yeah, manages to keep it out of having too much damage. We'll have a look at that from on board, actually, from Donald's point of view. So he gets a good run out the final corner, down the inside. But you always get this crossover, because you're tight into turn 1. It compromises your exit. There's been an instant further down as well, and I think Poole's involved in it. And there, just the tiniest of touches. And we're going to stay with this, actually, because Donald Poole has been involved with Stefan Rosgen then, so something's happened to Donald here. That's what. And there's nothing, absolutely nothing that Rosgen could do there. I mean, he's still going down the track there. We'll wind the tape back and show you exactly what Stefan would see as he comes around. There's very little that you can see of a car off in the middle of the track there, because it's quite the crest.
Yeah, he's looking at the car in front, he's looking at his apex, he comes across this crest, and then you feel for him on that one. That's ugly too as well. It makes a bit of a spinning top out of the Pro Mazda out of Tartus's finest work from Italy. And
he's out. He's done for the day. So too is Donald Poole. So not turning out to be a day to remember for those two. As Michael Bailey as well has had an incident, and he's dropped down. In fact, he's gone back to the pits as well. So a few incidents happened in the opening of the race here, but we saw this last race, didn't we? And then it all calmed down.
Yeah, no doubt. I wonder how many cars we're going to have on the lead lap come the end. It'd probably still be pretty similar to race 1, if we're honest with ourselves. Mark Robertson going to lose out to Paul Stump, who was on a charge as well. It makes a longer straight at the pit straight, the fact that they are absolutely flat through that downhill sweeper though.
See that different line that they're taking, and Robertson I just don't think he's quite comfortable in that position right now, or in this car at least. And he just quite hasn't got the pace of Paul Stump in front of him.
No, all we saw Paul Stump was podium material in race 1, so the fact that he qualified in 15th or something, I dare say, doesn't sound entirely representative. So to see him picking off a couple of drivers on his way into the top 10. I guess doesn't surprise me from Paul Stump based on what we saw out of race 1.
Yeah, he's always a hard charger, a Stump, isn't he? He always worked his way through. Leroy Coppage, somebody who's trying to work his way through as well, in 13th. Louis Canal's just lost a position down to 9th, although he's embroiled in a battle into the chicane. So, yeah, he's not having a good time of it out there, is Louis, if I'm honest.
You have another great look down the hill. And onto the pit straight. Turn 1, such a difficult place to make an overtake from what we've seen, that it's a quick little downshift from 6th into 4th, but not impossible.
Yeah, so that was Coppage making the move on Yorison then, and he's all over the back of Canal, really. So yeah, I do think there is damage on that car for Canal. You can see the front wing slightly bent. Well, thank you very much, Coppage says, and away he goes.
I had that one written down as a place we were definitely going to see an overtake today. That was...
yeah, Canal's got damage. Look at him, he's dropping back here.
It did seem like a boatload of understeer for Canal there that then just left him wide and high and dry, which of course is not where a boat wants to be. And yeah, it does seem like he's really struggling with both the straight line speed and it seems like the grip at the front of the car. If he goes and puts that upside down like Stefan Roschen, then we could take a good look at the floor, but the way he's running at the moment, yeah, there's a kilometre an hour or two here, and then he's definitely also struggling with getting it turned in.
Certainly is, yeah. It was looking promising for Louis to start with, and it's just not quite panning out how he would have wanted. But still, this battle for second place is ongoing. But they have got a little bit of a gap now back to Bill Lawrence, so they can focus just these two. But once again, Donald Fitter, he said he was just going to go out there, have a bit of fun, not getting anybody's way. Well, there's one way of keeping out of everybody's way and running away at the front.
Yeah, good work on the Fitterer master plan. Away and clear at the minute. Just got to worry about what comes up for traffic on the relative. Morgan's got to worry about what comes up in the mirrors, and the answer is Mike McCormick. We've got Donald Fitterer leading, shown as Club New York, John Morgan as Club Florida, Mike McCormick as Club Texas. We've just got to get California in here, and I think we've got the big ones.
I'm sure many other states will have things to say about that, David. But yeah, it's a good spread of talent of where they all come from here in this championship, and there's no region restriction either. We've got like for example Stefan Roschen, who was racing earlier until that unfortunate accident. Yeah, he's from mainland Europe, so there's a wide range of drivers right across the world here taking part in 60 plus racing adventures.
I mean, there's North Americans and Western Europeans, but yeah, basically. I think the interesting ones to point out is Canadian Bill Lawrence in 4th, and then Steve Greenwood, I think in 5th, is the highest placed European, and Paul Stump is outdoing his countryman Stefan Roschen in that representation in 7th.
Now this is pretty much a good battle out there on track of Jihadis Yorison and Bruce Poole battling away. This is all over 12th place, so everybody's just sort of formed into their little sort of battle packs here, haven't they, David? And they've really sort of separated out a little bit here.
Yeah, as they do. I see a battle for 2nd, a battle for 9th, a battle for 12th, a battle for 16th, where Louis Canal, I think, has gone for pit lanes, called time on some of this damage. It looks like the end plates on both ends of the front wing, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're about to play a little bit of spot the difference on this one when he hits the pit stall.
There you go.
Yep, I think it was those end plates on both ends of the front wing that weren't helping him.
Oh,
You know, in isolation, you're like, it doesn't look quite right. And then you see the snap, and you're like, yeah, that's what the front wing and the end plates are meant to look like.
well, let's see what Louis can do now, because he did qualify quite well. I mean, he found himself 5th place on the grid, so let's see if he can start making a charge through after the halfway point of the race and really push on here in the second half of the race.
I think he thought he could push through it, and then eventually decided he was losing too much time. And now that he's gone and taken those repairs, he's probably going to wish he did that lap 2 or something, but that's always the way. It's always the way it is. Second and third, the order for our podium far from decided.
Yeah, these two have been embroiled in a simmering battle, I would say. Four-wheel drift there for Mike McCormack. It's not the quickest way at all times. It certainly won't help your tyre life, and tyre heat is something that you need to be careful of with these cars, as we mentioned in race 1.
It almost seems like it's a tiny bit hotter in race 2, not drastically different, but it is those left side tyres. You are gonna hurt here. Long loaded turn 1, a loaded section of corners as he came through and got it a little bit sideways. I'm not sure that the final corner at the bottom of the hill's really a problem in these cars, but a lot of the loaded corners are these right-handers where your front left takes a beating in various cars.
Yeah, you look at that, you're pushing into the hill there, so that really sort of puts force through that front left. Then you've got this long sweepers here, and then through the right-hander here, it's not too bad. But then it's turn 6, so the next corner where it is slightly cambered, so that does help you. But you can carry a lot more speed than you imagine that you would here, so it really puts some pressure through that front left and then onto the brakes, carrying a little bit more speed into the corner, but not carrying the speed out of the corner, and that's where you need to really work those rear tyres, putting the power down out of turn 7, through 8, and then through 9, which is both, neither of them are corners really, if we think about it, and then you've got the chicane here.
They'll do this, won't they? They'll give real actual corners names like 7A, 7B, 7C, and then give whole numbers to corners that don't even exist. Road America, you're guilty of this too.
Yes.
Yeah. Fitterer, fastest lap of the race this time by, as he says goodbye to second and third and their little battle. And for the top 10, Bob Cohen, massive progress, up into 19 positions gained. Whereas Barry Hills here, he is up 3 positions into 10th, and he's trying to hold on to what looks like a Leroy Coppage, looking one way and the other behind him.
Yeah, Copper's just dropping down a little bit in this race, 3 positions lost so far. But look at that, Cohen already is just running away from Barry Hills that we're focusing on here, because Hills now I think is maybe looking behind him at Coppage and wondering what Leroy can do out there.
Yeah, for sure the way it's going. Bob Cohen is going to leave these two. At 6th and 7th, swapping place. Paul Stump gets ahead of Richard McClure, it would seem.
Yep, that's down the back straight, using that slipstream. Oh, Stump pushing it to the edge there. Not the best exit out of 10A, 10B. That's giving McClure a bit of a run here.
Yeah, you can tell he knows it. Covered the final corner, covered turn 1. But then he did pick up a lot of speed. Great line through turn 1. Sort of leave McClure in his dust after that. top 10, Fitterer leads from the battle between Morgan and McCormick that you look at right here. Bill Lawrence, Steve Greenwood making up the top 5. Stump and McClure battle. Then for 6th and 7th, Robertson, Cohen and Barry Hills, the top 10. Bob Cohen, a huge improver in race 2. Did he just not... 19, 28...
No, we did see him get a lap.
We saw him get 1 lap.
He got that 1 lap, yeah. So, and it wasn't the best either from him. He'll probably admit as well. But I'm sure he's having a bit of fun out there, working his way through the field. So, yeah, that'll be good to see his fight through. I'm just keeping an eye as well on Louis Cannell. He's caught up to Richard Coulomb. That's his next target. So he's working his way through. And he's going to try and make some moves shortly.
Yep, so he is. Right on time. Up and 1 more position for Cannell, who... Well, I can see he's going faster than almost everyone in front of him, up to about 10th or so. But still, it was a trip onto pit lane he wanted to avoid if he could. In the end, the front wing damage was just too severe.
So the question is, does he only gain about 1, maybe 2 more positions? Because there's a big 8-second gap between Joel Martin in 19th and Gene Moore in 20th. Oh, in fact, forget about that. Gene Moor's just had an incident.
I think it's not past tense, it was a sort of present tense on that one. Looks like it's facing the right way. That is, of course, the formidable turn 5. And we're going to take a look on board with Gene Moore. He's having to ride a bit of the curb on the entry. Having to ride a bit of the curb in the middle, and that's already in a slide when it picked up the curb on the exit, which just helped him around. And then he discovered that the grass is slippery too.
Yeah, it's like ice is the grass, isn't it? So, yeah, but it was that...
Especially when you've got all of the lock cranked in and you reach for the power.
Yeah. I will say that it was that inside curb that actually unsettled the car. Usually we see it being the outside curb, isn't it, that we usually point out around this track. And unfortunately for Gene, ends up the wrong way around.
Looking, what's this lap for Donald Fitterer? 15.7. Okay. I just thought Fitterer lost 2 or 3 seconds of his lead somewhere along there. It's down to just 3 seconds between him and Morgan and McCormick. Put on my investigative hat. 2 laps ago was about 3 seconds off pace for Donald Fitterer, so I don't know if he caught some traffic in a bad place or he went a little off tracking. So that means it's not done yet. If that could happen again, then Morgan and McCormick would be right on your leader, Donald Fitterer. So 5 more laps to bring home the season, and if he wants to bring home a win, he can't relax just yet.
Yeah, that's it. You can't just take it for granted that you're out there at the front. One mistake. I mean, we saw, what was it, the 1988 Monaco Grand Prix when Ayrton Senna was told to slow down by his McLaren team over the radio, and he just lapsed of concentration and he was in the barrier. So it shows one little mistake can cost you big time.
This is the battle for second still. I'll be honest with you, Paul, I didn't see the 1988 Monaco Grand Prix live.
I was only 4 years old, so I can vaguely remember it.
The point still stands. Battle between second and third. It's a good looking line from McCormick as he keeps the pressure on John Morgan. Problem for Wally Molesby as well. Not many laps out from the end.
Oh, look at how close McCormick's getting there. Morgan just got, I've noticed that out of turn 5, got a little bit of a slide, not much of one, but it was enough just to maybe give a little bit of a concern for him, but still able to carry the speed out of 7 and down this back straight in towards the chicane. And McCormick again, he's just holding place. He doesn't want to make any rash moves here.
Worked well for him in race 1, where he came up from 3rd into 2nd. That part of the track on the final lap. So he's not feeling the rush. They've lost a little bit of time to Fitterer again though, so they're absolutely relying on mistake or misfortune from the leader for anything other than 2nd in this battle. Well, Stump is flying along in 6th for some reason.
Yeah, he's really got some pace out there. Now, his best lap, he's actually faster than your race leader, and he's on pace with the race leader as well in terms of lap time. So he's got a bit of pace out there, and he's pushing on. He wants to get as many places as possible here.
Yeah, he's been going back and forth in the battle between 6th and 7th with McClure as well, so on some of these laps he might be just picking up a very, very good slipstream that obviously flatters the rest of the lap as well. Here we go though. That is McCormick to the inside, and not the latest braking manoeuvre ever from John Morgan, who I think is hoping he can put the Swapperoo back in the opposite direction with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit facilitated there, wasn't it, as to help that, because if these two start battling too hard, there's Bill Lawrence and Steve Greenwood, who we've barely mentioned actually. Steve has had a really good second race here, up in 5th place. They're not that far behind these two, so they need to be careful not to battle too hard.
Certainly a second and a half would do it. They would have Lawrence and Greenwood tacked onto their train.
Yeah, Coppage and Hills were pretty tight together, and I believe that Coppage did make a move, so up into 10th for him and 11th for Barry Hills now. So change further down, and a nice little 3-car battle as well further back. 15th, Joel Martin. In fact, it's a 4-car battle. Joel Martin, Jack Turner, Bob Kern, and Richard Varley at the back of this train.
Yeah, sure it is. 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, all there within your shot coming up through the S's. And they all stay well clear of our favourite curb. Not the driver's favourite curb though, that's for sure.
Oh, I have a strong dislike for that curb. I can tell you from experience, and I usually drive front wheel drive cars where you basically just keep your foot down through there and just let the front wheels drag you around if the back end does start coming out on you. But these drivers don't have that luxury of having it relatively easy. These cars will pick up and go if you hit that curb too hard.
Or even at all. It seems like sometimes. For how many cars they got in this battle? They're all sort of holding station a little bit at the moment. Almost looks like they might drop Richard Varley a little bit, and that Bob Kern is just watching Martin and Turner see what happens and if he can pick up some scraps. Coming to the final lap, Tom Fitterer is about to start the final lap of the race, of the round, and therefore of the season as well. McCormick and Morgan, you cannot separate these guys in this race.
There's a bit of lap traffic just getting out of the way as well, JC Hay, so he didn't want to get in the way of this battle for 2nd place.
He just wanted a better view of it. Fair enough. Look at that wiggle from McCormick. He was just a little bit on that particular curb, and it wanted to step out. So he's definitely used a bit of his used a bit of his tyres. Hold on to it, mate. Good on you. And He has Morgan right with him. I think Morgan's got McCormick right where he wants him on the final lap.
Oh, the wide
struggles.
exit. Now, he will get on the power a little bit earlier with that, but look at the run that Morgan's got there.
Yeah, precisely. That is going to be side by side. Down the back straight on the final lap in this battle for second place. Fitterer ahead is therefore going to be unchallenged for the race lead, but this is challenging on the brakes for these two. And John Morgan has his nose in front. This is going to be one hell of a switchback if McCormick can manage it. Donald Fitterer is going to go clean sweep. 2 from 2 in this round of 60 plus racing adventures, but in the background, John Morgan holds on for second ahead of Mike McCormick in third. Great work there. What's going on here for Greenwood? He's lost out. Paul Stump has gotten ahead.
Yeah,
I think now Mark Robertson can't get him to the line.
I think he's had a bit of a trip to the grass here. We'll have a look then on the replay. It was a deep move. Oh, he's lost it. Oh, it was all on his own there.
I don't think that's actually ended up costing a position for Greenwood. I think he was battling with Stump for 6th. And has not gotten 6th and still managed to hold on to 7th place regardless. Richard McClure set the fastest lap of the race on the final lap. So he picked up a slipstream somewhere there as well. Interesting final lap at Road Atlanta for a lot of our competitors.
It's not over yet as well. Jim Moore and David Riley fighting to the line.
Jim Moore in purple is going to hold on to that one though.
We're just waiting on one more car to finish and then we'll be able to give you your results here. But that's been really good racing today, David. I've really enjoyed that. It's been a good final round of the season here.
Yeah, what a great race between Morgan and McCormick, for example, in second and third there. It could have ended poorly, but these guys have raced around each other a bunch, familiar, and gave each other enough room, but they'd like a little bit of a fight as well. So Donald Fitterer goes 2 from 2. And really signs, seals and delivers on grabbing that championship. John Morgan in second, Mike McCormick in third, Lawrence in fourth, and Richard McClure, like I mentioned, on the final lap, a 1:15.6, grabs the fastest lap of the race right at the end. Paul Stump in sixth, Steve Greenwood in seventh, Mark Robertson charging through, couldn't grab that one and ends up with 8th. Bob Cohen, huge mover, 19 positions gained into 9th, and Leroy Coppage is the top 10. Barry Hills in 11th from Bruce Poole, Gerhardus Jorrison, Douglas Beasley, Jack Turner, Joel Martin, Bob Kern, Richard Varley, Louis Cannell in 9th, couldn't grab any more positions, and Dev Donnelly in 20th. Paul, we had more cars finish on the lead lap in this one.
Absolutely. Kenneth Dummer, Richard Coulomb, Jim Moore and David Riley, who we saw go across the line together, they finished on the lead lap there. JC Hay, along with Michael Bailey, Greg Gilman, Randy Shoemaker and Robert Ahl, all 1 lap down, and then drivers 2 laps down or more. Ernie Cancio, Wally Moulsby, Jerry Kerr, Donald Poole and Stefan Rostrom with that unfortunate accident out of turn 5. Quite a violent accident really out of turn number 5 that was, and fortunately this is simulated racing, so at least you've got the relative protection of not actually being in the vehicle.
Yeah, if you print that results sheet and turn it upside down, it's how they looked for quite a couple seasons. So just jarring to see Stefan Rostrom at the bottom of a results sheet, because that was definitely not the case for a long time. That is racing done for this round of 60 plus racing adventures, the John Unsbee Memorial races, but we've got a couple drivers to speak with as well, Paul, and I'll let you decide who you fancy having a word with.
Well, I don't see, but we unfortunately we didn't get much time to speak to him, so why not have a chat with Joel Martin?
Good call. Joel Martin with us, one of the organisers for the league as well. Joel, great racing we saw today, and some great liveries and great tributes out on track as well.
I agree. It was great, wasn't it?
Certainly shows a lot of the community spirit that exists within this league, which is, I think, from a bit of an outsider perspective, its biggest selling point. There's a lot of other leagues and races and series we broadcast that aren't quite as friendly or as welcoming, and obviously it shows when we look down the grid and fully 80% of the field racing a tribute to John Unsbee, how closely knit this community can be in 60 plus racing adventures.
That's the secret to the whole thing. It's just people come in and they apply. We do a little background to make sure they're 60 years old, and they come in, and before they know it, they're part of a family.
Might steal my dad's identity and come race with you guys. Test exactly your due diligence there, Joel. But yeah, I mean, obviously, a league with a purpose that is a little different to some others, and we talk about it here on the broadcast. But then something like this comes around, and these beautiful tributes, and it really shows to the outsider. But we'll talk about your driving today. 16th. There was some battles in front of you, some battles behind you, and I'm sure you had some of your own.
Well, I've known Jack Turner for about 10 years, and we've gone to actual races at Barber together. He lives down there. At the end of the race, I said, well, since you beat me, I may not come and drink your beer anymore, But it was good.
Hollow thread, if ever
better
I
race
heard
than
one.
I've had in a long time.
Yeah, fantastic. And we saw Bob Kern and Richard Varley in your battle there as well, a 4-car pack. How did you find Road Atlanta? Because this is not the first time the series has been here. It's not the first time we've broadcast one of the rounds here either. A bit of a mainstay of the championship. Everyone would be relatively familiar with it then.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's familiar with it. I think it's one of the premium tracks in the United States. Road America, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta.
Great little roll call. I've heard that potentially it might be getting a little bit of a graphic tidy up as well. So that'd be interesting.
I said in a practice session, I can't wait for that to happen. That's turn 5. They broadened it out, moved the wall back, and got rid of those nasty curbs. And they drive through. Their lap times are faster, but people don't crash or spin and go on the other side wall. So it'll be a big improvement.
We've seen you in 60 plus racing adventures, many a season, many a race. Defining moment of competition with John Unsbee, potentially. Any other, I guess, thoughts as we use this round to think about his participation and his contribution to 60 plus racing adventures? Got some closing thoughts there, Joel? We still got you? Apparently not. So we had some insights there from Joel Martin, and now we appear to no longer be able to pick him up, unfortunately. There are still some other drivers I guess we can speak to, Paul.
2,000 races? Oh my God.
Like clockwork, Paul. Like clockwork.
At least I didn't say anything, too bad. No, I think I won the gentleman's award too for the least amount of incidents over the season. Well, what I do is I practice so much that I don't have to think about what I'm doing, and that way I'm not second guessing what I should be doing in the corner. And then as long as I'm doing that, I'm fine. It's when when I start thinking that I mess up. Well, I want to say thank you to Mike McCormick, who placed second in the last race and third in this one. He and I have practiced a lot together. We're teammates, and I got to say, there's times I wouldn't practice if Mike said, "Hey, let's go out and do it." And so, a big shout out to him, and of course, all the administrators for putting this league out and making it what it is. Well, thank you, and I wish you guys lived closer so I could take you mountain biking.
I'm in.
All right, cheers, guys.
You can make sure the beer is cold at the end. That's an important task. We're gonna go grab a couple more here. Who we got? Some we haven't. Yeah. John Morgan, second place. All race long, back and forth between you and Mike McCormick, and you got him at the end.
Yep, got a little lucky. He got by me with a real good pass, and I think he just made a small mistake at the end that gave me a great run down the back stretch. And the gentleman that he is, he kind of gave up when I had the inside covered. So yeah, it was good to finish second after that first race.
Last lap there, we were watching quite a bit from your perspective, watching forward from your car, and every corner, Mike McCormick was a little sideways, it seemed. Was there some need to manage the rear tyres a bit across the race length?
I'm not sure. I think the car it's got just enough power, and these corners upset the car just enough that you can spin the tires pretty much anywhere, especially out of turn 5 down, before heading down to that back straight. And I think that's what got Mike. But so, yeah, you do have to, throttle control is kind of a part of it at Road Atlanta, just because of the nature of the corners. But I don't think I don't know if it could be, tire wear could be a part of it.
Yeah, there you go. You must have smelt the blood in the water, seen the wounded gazelle on that one though. The way he was struggling with it, leading into where we know is the number one biggest overtaking opportunity on the lap.
Yes, because I when I came into turn 5, being as close as I was, I had been getting out of turn 5 better than he was most of the race, which kept him behind me most of the race. So I knew I could get a good run, and I felt pretty confident I was going to be able to get down the inside and take back second. So it was a good feeling, good race. Mike I've raced with all the way back into the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. So he and I have been racing together for a long time. So it was a great race with him.
I was going to ask, do you have a count of how many races, how many seasons you've done in 60 plus racing adventures to this point?
I've done them all. I was one of the original members, and pretty much completed every season. I've missed a few races here and there, but yeah, it's been a lot of seasons. I love the group. It's great racing. A lot of really fast guys up front every week. So it's Joel and Richard and Mark do such a great job of keeping everything organized. It's just good group, and that's what league racing is all about. So.
Be remiss in the John Unsbee Memorial races if I didn't ask you if there's anything you want to say, any memory you want to share.
Just that John was a tough competitor, not somebody who would just move over and let you by. Opinionated, but a great guy, great storyteller. Some of the articles he's written online about racing minis back in the day are extremely well written, and just miss him. John and I spent a bit of time talking to each other outside of iRacing, and he's just somebody that will be missed.
Thank you, and congratulations on second place in this second race. That brings to a conclusion your season, but I guess you wouldn't want to break the streak. We're going to see you next season, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll be back.
That's some conviction. See you then, John.
Okay. Thank you, David.
Well, Paul Smith, one more, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring Mike into this one. And, well, third place and a second place for the day. That's not a bad day's racing for you, is it?
Yeah, second, third.
Well, talk us through that final race there. Then that was some tremendous battling that you had with John Morgan at the front there, and John just getting the edge of you, but looked to be tremendous fun between the two of you.
Well, I used to race John in the Skippy some too, so I knew we were close to the same speed, so I just basically laid back. I wanted to keep, within his draft for most of the race. And then I got ahead of him, and then I made a few mistakes, and he got it by me.
And we saw you just getting on the last lap, especially getting the back end a little bit lively towards the end. It was obvious that you were pushing to the end of the race there today.
I didn't drive smooth enough. Middle error.
But that is the end of this season. Hopefully we'll be able to see you again next season. Hopefully you'll be able to push on and maybe challenge for a championship next time.
We'll see. I'm going to be putting my house on the market, and I got to do a lot of work around the house and stuff like that. So hopefully I can do the full schedule, but we'll see. I don't know.
Well, all the best. Carry on
in the fall.
Absolutely. Well, if we don't see you for the full season next season, all the best with the house move there, and hopefully we'll get to see you back out on track soon.
I appreciate it. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe.
Thank you very much. There we go, David.
Yeah, there we have it. Another great round of 60-plus racing adventures in the books. Donald Fitterer ending the season, how he carried through it. A rightful champion, great to see. And also some fantastic racing up and down the field, as we expect to see week in, week out from 60-plus racing adventures. You can check them out on the iRacing forum. They are for drivers 60 years of age or over. And they create a great little community, some of those older sim races as well. As you heard from a bunch of those drivers, they know each other well, they enjoy racing against each other and chatting all things racing and sim racing, etc. And amongst all of that, we saw the great friendship many of them had with John Unsbee, and a great opportunity then to remember him in the John Unsbee Memorial Races round of 60 plus racing adventures. From us on RaceSpot though, I've been David Haynes. It's been Paul Smith alongside me with the production as well. And that brings to an end another season of 60 plus racing adventures. Good night.